welcome back to my channel. So for this week's kind of weekly reading vlog, it's going to be a little bit different. This is going to be somewhat of a challenge video. I really want to get into them because I think they look so fun. I love watching them, and this is also going to help me be super productive with my reading. So I'm doing this challenge in order to kind of get through more of my physical TBR, all the unread books on my bookshelves that are just sitting there. So if you're a regular viewer of my channel, then you'll know that I uploaded a haul video a few weeks ago, and honestly I've done a really sucky job at getting through those books. So I thought that this week could be dedicated to getting through 3 of those books that I haven't read yet and kind of tackle my TBR because it just keeps growing and I don't feel like I'm ever reading them fast enough. I feel like I'm never picking the right books for me. I don't think I've actually finished a book this month. So yeah, I feel like this challenge has come around at a very good time, and I thought who better to pick my books than my patrons because they know me so well. I trust their taste and I know that they have my best interest at heart. So yes, I got them to vote on which books from that haul video I should read, and we had 3 winners which I'm going to be reading during this video. So the one that got voted for the most, and I'm not surprised at all, is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is the first book in the Folk of the Air trilogy, and it's a YA fantasy. If you didn't know, you probably already do because yes, it's Holly Black. And I hear amazing things about this series. I have heard some not so good things, but I feel like the people that I follow and have like similar reading taste to really enjoy the series, and I'm so excited to get more into it. As you can see, I already started it. I kind of started this challenge yesterday and I'm up to chapter 4, which is literally page 24. So not very far in. Initial impressions, I'm enjoying it, but I'm not loving it yet. It does feel a tiny bit cheesy. Obviously it's very young adult. I don't read that much young adult anymore. I'm just intrigued to see like what my opinion is if I want to carry on with the series. So yeah, this is going to be the first one that I read this week. The book with the second most votes is Orange, which is actually a manga. I've read the first volume in this binder of 3 volumes, so I think I'm going to task myself with reading the next 2 and basically finish this collection before going on to the second one. I loved the first volume. If I could have rated it on Goodreads separately, I'd give it 5 stars. I think it was a really good setup to this kind of sci-fi time travel romance. It's just really cute. I really care about the characters already, like I'm already invested. And then the third book that my patrons chose for me is Woman Eating by Kohda. This is an arc that I got earlier in the year and I still haven't read it, so thank you so much patrons for picking this for me because I really needed to get around to it. I love the sound of the premise. It's like a modern vampire story about this vampire living in London. She's moved out of her mother's place and she's trying to like kind of survive by herself and live like a normal human life, but obviously the fact that she's a vampire is making that very difficult. I love the idea of this book, and like the other 2, I'm very excited to read this week. I think that this is a fantastic TBR. I love how varied it is. I really hope that my patrons know my taste and that I'm actually going to really enjoy these, and hopefully it will be like a really positive, nice week of reading. If not, I will capture all of my thoughts in this vlog. So yeah, I think that's it for now. I'm going to start reading The Cruel Prince this afternoon, and I'll check back in when I have some thoughts. So I've been reading for the last like hour or 2 and I'm now on page 60 again. I'm really enjoying it, but I'm not loving it yet. I just am finding it a bit difficult to get to grips with the fact that these characters, like the 3 sisters, are from our world, but they live in fairy, where they end up like growing up, and yet they go back to the human world and visit sometimes. And I just don't know if I like that. I think I really wanted to read like just a straight up high fantasy with nothing to do with the real world, but obviously this isn't that, and I'm just gonna have to get over it and just enjoy it for what it is because it is really good. I've actually started listening to the audiobook alongside it and I think I'm enjoying it more that way. I think to begin with I wasn't really like getting the main character's voice, I wasn't really getting Jude's voice, but now that I've started listening to the audiobook, for some reason that's like really helping. So yeah, I don't really have that many thoughts. Obviously we've met Carden, who is the prince and Jude's love interest, I believe. He sucks, but obviously I know that that's not going to be like the end of the story. I'm getting the impression that he like doesn't necessarily want to be like that horrible to her, but he's kind of getting roped in with his friends and kind of I don't know, pressured into being this big bully, but she's kind of giving nearly as good as she's getting. I'm really excited to see where the dynamic continues and where it goes. But yeah, for now I'm going to pause this. I've got some live reading sprints with my patrons in just less than an hour. I think I'm gonna go to the shop now, pick up some food for dinner and eat before I do those sprints. I'm probably going to keep reading The Cruel Prince because I am enjoying it and I really want to get further in this evening. I would love to read this kind of as quickly as possible, maybe in the next couple of days. Like, I feel like that would be really fun. But yeah, very good start so far. Okay, so I'm obviously in the same place, but I did everything that I was gonna do, that I said I was gonna do. I went to the shops and then I did 2 hours of reading sprints with my patrons, which was so fun. We talked about Love Island, we talked about our books, we did a lot of reading, and I got up to chapter 15. I've made a really good dent in the book. That's page 142. It's a lot darker now, although it is the summer solstice, which I forgot to mention. So it's actually 9:20 now and it's still light outside. It doesn't look very light on my phone screen, but it's still nice and light outside. The sky's a little bit pink. The sun is setting, and yeah, I'm just having the best time with this book. I was filling my patrons in at the beginning. It was a bit rocky. I didn't know how to feel about it, but now I am fully into it and I'm really enjoying it actually. So far so good. My patrons seem to know my taste and are doing very well. I'm gonna wait until Jamshed gets home to watch Love Island, but until then I think I'm gonna make myself a cup of tea and I'm gonna keep on reading. So it's been a couple of days and I finished The Cruel Prince. Okay, this was nothing like I thought it would be. It genuinely felt like a breath of fresh air because I feel like in a lot of the fantasy series or like YA fantasy series that I've read in the past, the romance is definitely like at the forefront of the book, and to be honest with you, I really enjoy that, but I'm really glad that this was more like a slow burn. It kind of reminded me of the Infernal Devices actually. The main romance in that one was definitely very slow burn, kind of painful to read, but like in the best way. This one definitely gave me like a hint of that romance. It's definitely not on par, but like it's getting there. So we've got Jude. I really like her character. I think that's like one of the most important things in a fantasy series for me, is that like I really bond with the main character, kind of like the decisions they make, and that was definitely what was going on in this. I think I fell in love with Carden just a little bit on chapter 29. I just love the descriptions. I wasn't really like feeling him necessarily up until that point. This isn't like really a spoiler or anything, but Carden tucks my arm firmly through his before striding into the entryway, and I feel a rush of warmth as I match his step. Against my better judgment, despite the fact that he's terrible, Carden is also fun. Here we go, here's the description of Carden. He looks regal in different shades of cream, a coat over a vest and loose shirt, breeches and a neckcloth with the same silver tip boots he wore to the coronation, a single sapphire shining from his left ear. He literally has an earring, he literally has an earring. Can someone please tell me why I'm losing it over a fictional prince? I really like the plot twist at the end. I was definitely trying to predict a lot of what happened, and I think I did to a certain extent, but it still surprised me. I love when there's a satisfying mystery in a fantasy. Like, I think I'm kind of learning like what I want in a fantasy series, and kind of like an element of mystery, an element of romance, a really kind of like rootable, not annoying main character. I think those are like top requirements for me in terms of like falling in love with a fantasy series, especially when it comes to YA. Also, I ended up giving this 4 stars out of 5 just because I wasn't completely obsessed with it, and also the pacing was like a tiny bit weird, especially in regards to Jodie and Carden. I feel like there was a bit of a switch, like I don't really know how to describe it. Their dynamic kind of flipped, and I don't know if I enjoyed that completely, but overall it was a really great setup to a series. Such a good first book in a trilogy. It made me absolutely want to have the second book in my hand like ASAP. I'm going to be doing a 36-hour readathon next week, and I kind of want to read The Wicked King as part of that. But yeah, that's how much I loved it. Like, I want to read the second book straight away. I'm almost questioning like why I gave it 4 stars, because I enjoyed this so much, but I do think that it is like a 4-star book, so I'm gonna leave it like that for now. Once I read the next books in the series, I might like readjust my rating just according to like how the other 2 pan out, but for now I'm gonna leave it on a 4 stars. Okay, I just wanted to add to what I was saying about the Cruel Prince earlier. The other things that I wanted to mention was that I loved the action in this book. I just really enjoyed like Jude's role in like the whole plot and how that played out. I just love that whole side of the book, and yeah, I just wanted to mention that quickly because I obviously didn't get that across while I was talking to you guys. But yes, I would say the first book in this kind of experiment challenge video has gone very well. My patrons chose wisely. I was very in the mood for this. So glad that I read it. Can't believe it's over. Kind of sad actually. But yes, we're gonna put that to the side. And actually I already kind of steamrolled ahead and went straight into Orange, and I've actually read and finished the second volume in this bind up, so I'm already halfway through what I said that I was going to read during this vlog. I think I actually preferred the second volume to the first volume, so yeah, again, if I was going to rate this, I'd probably give it 5 stars. My ratings for manga are very different from my ratings of books, so I would say that overall I enjoyed this more like as a whole. But yeah, this is definitely top tier manga for me, so yeah, I'm just really excited to dive into the third volume and finish this bind up. I'm just loving all the really cute moments between Naho and Kerri, and I love the whole friendship group and everything. Like, they're so supportive and cute together, and honestly I'm just having the best time watching them like hang out and stuff, so definitely having fun with this one. I feel like this video is such a success so far. I hope it continues into the next volume of Orange and then into the last book. I've got a little bit of explaining to do. So I did end up finishing Orange, the completed collection, volume 1. I enjoyed the 3rd volume as much as I enjoyed the 2nd, and I gave that one 5 stars as well. So all in all, the whole collection was a 5-star. And yeah, I'm so happy that I read it during this video, and I can't wait to pick up the next complete collection, volume 2. I'm a bit nervous because I know that it's probably going to get more intense, and definitely the time travel element's going to amp up because of how it was left. I'm trying to actually remember, because this was a couple of weeks ago now that I was reading that book. But yes, I'm so glad I finished it. I'm so glad that I loved it, and another successful read from this video, and my patrons did very well. Unfortunately, I did start Woman Eating by Kohda, and I brought it with me to my parents' house, but I didn't get very far. I got extremely sick when I started reading this, and I was only on page 27. I gave it a good go while I was feeling that ill. I wanted it to distract me, but it just really wasn't doing that, and I just don't think this book is for me at the moment. It's really unfortunate. I did want to read this during this video because obviously it would have been way more satisfying to have seen me read 3 whole books, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be, and I think I'm going to be DNFing this one. I might go back to it in the future if I really do get in the mood for like a modern contemporary vampire story that's kind of like funny and edgy, but it's just not my thing right now. And I'm really loving the books that I have been reading, which have been more like fantasy, like The Cruel Prince. I've read Wicked King since I was filming this video, and I really enjoyed it. It was actually in the 36-hour readathon that I did. If you want to check it out, I'll link it above, because I really enjoyed that video, and I did really enjoy that book as well. Yeah, this is not the story that I'm in the mood for at the moment, so I'm gonna have to leave this video without having read this book. But yeah, for this video at least, I think I'm gonna have to call it a day and say goodbye here. I'm so sorry, I try not to ever do this, but I think maybe themed videos aren't really necessarily my thing, just because I'm such a mood reader. I think letting someone else kind of take control of my TBR is very dangerous, and honestly, if I continued to read this, then I probably would have put myself into a slump and got really stressed out, because I already have been by not reading this. It's kind of, oh hello, been hanging over my head. So yeah, I'm really glad to say goodbye to this book and start another one. Yeah, that makes me really excited. So yeah, hopefully the next video will be better for you guys, and hopefully you did enjoy this video for what it was. I hope that you're having a great day, and I will see you guys in my next one very, very soon. Bye.